Okay, so get ready, because today we're taking a deep dive into some pretty fascinating ideas about Venus.
Venus.
Yeah, that bright evening star we always see. Well, it turns out it might have played a bigger role in the story of Earth and humanity than we think.
Ah,
We've got all sorts of sources here.
like what?
Spiritual teachings, mythology, esoteric philosophy. They all hint that Venus was more than just our neighbor.
More than just a neighbor. How so?
Well, it's almost like Venus has been hiding a cosmic secret, and these sources are giving us little peeks behind the curtain.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So one of the things that really jumps out is this idea of spiritual hierarchies.
Spiritual hierarchies.
Yeah, I know it sounds complicated, but basically we're talking about different levels of beings with different levels of spiritual development.
Oh, okay, like a hierarchy of consciousness.
Right, exactly. And one framework we're looking at comes from Rudolf Steiner. Yeah, he describes these beings, he calls them spirits of personality, archangels, and angels. And he says they influenced different periods of Earth's history.
So each group had its own time to kind of take the lead, so to speak.
Yeah, it's like a cosmic relay race, with each group passing the baton to the next.
I like that analogy. So who are these beings and when were they active?
Well, Steiner suggests that these spirits of personality think highly evolved beings focused on individual development. They were especially active during the Lemurian epoch.
Lemuria.
Right, way, way back, before recorded history even.
Yeah.
And then during the time of Atlantis, the archangels stepped in.
Okay.
And finally, now in our current era, it's the angels who are most active.
So they each had their set time and then that was it, like a strict schedule.
Not necessarily. Steiner says that while there's a general pattern, there can be overlap. Beings from earlier periods could still be active in later times.
Ah, got it. So more like a cosmic mix and mingle.
That's a great way to put it. And this actually reminds me of some things I've read in Eastern traditions. They use terms like Dhyani Buddha, Bodhisattva, and Buddha. And I'm wondering if they're basically describing these same types of beings.
It's fascinating. They are remarkably similar. It's like seeing these connections across different cultures, different spiritual traditions, and realizing they're all pointing to the same fundamental ideas. The Dhyani Buddha, for example, is like this pure archetype of wisdom emanating divine consciousness.
Okay.
And then you have the Bodhisattva, who embodies active compassion, guiding others towards enlightenment.
I see.
And finally, you have the Buddha, the one who is fully awakened and teaches the path to liberation.
Wow. Okay, so you have this whole range of beings, from those just radiating pure wisdom to those actively helping others become enlightened.
Exactly.
But here's the big question. How does this all relate to us? I mean, we're humans just watching all this cosmic drama unfold, or was there some sort of interaction?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. These sources suggest that these higher beings didn't just observe humanity from afar. They could actually influence and even inhabit human individuals.
Inhabit, wait, you mean like possessing them, taking over their bodies?
Not exactly. It's more like ensouling, where a higher being lends its wisdom and energy to a human, not taking over their will, but offering deep inspiration and guidance. Steiner believed that a lot of great leaders throughout history were ensouled by angels. This gave them extraordinary wisdom and the ability to even remember past lives.
So some of those figures we read about, the ones who seemed almost supernaturally gifted, they might have actually been channeling a higher being.
It's a possibility, and sometimes it wasn't just one being offering inspiration. There are accounts of individuals influenced by multiple beings, even beings from other planets, like Venus.
Okay, so now we're getting closer to what we're really diving into today, this connection to Venus.
Yes.
So tell me, what can you tell me about this Venusian connection to humanity?
Let's start with this intriguing figure, Sinet Kumara, often called the Ancient of Days. He's described as the hierarch of Venus, a being of immense spiritual power, wisdom.
So like the spiritual leader of Venus.
You could say that. But here's the thing. Sinet Kumara is said to have actually left Venus and come to Earth. During a time when humanity had lost its connection to the divine.
Almost like a spiritual SOS mission.
Exactly. The Earth was on the verge of collapse, and Sinet Kumara volunteered to come here, leaving his home on Venus, to keep the flame of spirituality alive. Until enough humans could reawaken and carry that torch themselves. It was a profound act of compassion sacrifice.
Wow, talk about answering the call. And I remember reading that he wasn't alone, right? Wasn't there a whole group of beings who came with him?
Yes. According to the teachings, 144,000 souls and legions of angels volunteered to help Sinet Kumara on his mission to Earth. They formed a spiritual brotherhood, a beacon of light in a time of darkness.
So a whole contingent from Venus came to help us out. That's pretty amazing. And this isn't just some obscure idea either. Isn't there a connection to this in Hindu mythology as well?
Absolutely. In Hinduism, Venus is personified as Shukra, a deity associated with wisdom and guidance.
So even ancient myths hint at this special relationship between Venus and humanity's spiritual journey. It seems like we're starting to see a pattern here. But let's shift gears a bit and bring in another perspective. We've got Helena Blavatsky's secret doctrine in the mix as well. She was quite a controversial figure, wasn't she?
Yeah, Blavatsky definitely shook things up a bit. She challenged conventional thinking, about ancient civilizations and esoteric knowledge. One of her main points is that when it comes to planets and humanity and understanding their deeper meaning, we have to look beyond the surface. We have to decode the hidden layers.
So don't just take things at face value, but dig deeper for the real story.
Exactly. And when we do that with what Blavatsky says about Venus, some pretty amazing things emerge.
Like what?
She claims that beings from Venus actually came down to Earth during the Lemurian period, ensouling some of the early humans and influencing their development.
Hold on. So this is another case of beings from Venus directly interacting with humans on Earth.
Yes, exactly. It's this recurring theme we're seeing. Blavatsky calls these Venusian beings specially graced Lemurians, and they had a powerful influence over others.
So what were they doing? What kind of influence did they have?
They're said to have guided migrations, shaped early human society, and transmitted knowledge that would help humanity evolve. They acted as spiritual mentors, shaping the destiny of the human race.
That's incredible. So both Steiner and Blavatsky point to a time when beings from Venus were actively involved in shaping early humanity. What does that tell us about our place in the cosmos?
It's a big question, isn't it? And we're just scratching the surface here. Blavatsky goes even deeper. She suggests that these Venusian beings had a hand in shaping something pretty fundamental.
What's that?
Our physical bodies.
Whoa. Now that's something I have to hear more about. How could beings from Venus possibly influence the way we actually look? Tell me more.
So Blavatsky says that during the Lemurian period, humans weren't fully physical like we are today.
What do you mean?
Well, they were more etheric, less dense, almost shadow-like.
So like those astral forms we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. And these Venusian beings, they supposedly played a key role in helping these early humans densify. Yeah, to solidify their forms, so they could actually function in the material world.
So they didn't just influence our minds and souls, but they actually helped shape our physical evolution. That's pretty wild.
It really challenges how we usually think about human origins, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It's like they gave us a template, a blueprint that helps mold the human form into what it is today.
Exactly.
I'm trying to wrap my head around all this. Are there any descriptions of what these Venusian beings actually looked like? What kind of qualities did they have?
They were described as radiant, luminous beings, full of wisdom and very connected to nature.
I'm picturing those nature spirits, the elementals,
Yeah.
the ones you hear about in myths and legends. Are we talking about something similar?
There are some similarities, but these Venusian beings were considered way more advanced, with a higher level of consciousness, a deeper understanding of the cosmos.
I see. Were they said to have any particular skills or abilities that set them apart?
One thing that really stands out is their mastery of sound and vibration. Remember that connection to Kuan Yin we talked about, that melodious heaven of sound?
Yeah.
Well, it's believed that these Venusian beings actually use sound and vibration for both creation and healing.
Really?
Yeah, to shake matter, to influence consciousness.
So they were like, what, cosmic composers?
Yeah.
Using sound to orchestrate reality itself.
It's a beautiful image, isn't it?
It is.
And it reminds us of the power sound has over us, even today, on a physical and emotional level.
It makes you wonder if things like sound healing are tapping into that ancient wisdom these Venusian beings knew so well.
It's definitely a possibility worth thinking about. These esoteric teachings often offer glimpses into a forgotten knowledge that we're only now beginning to rediscover. But even with all this amazing information, I have to admit, this whole idea of beings from Venus shaping our evolution, it's a little unsettling.
In what way?
Well, it shakes things up, our sense of who we are, where we fit in the universe.
I get that. It raises a lot of questions. Like, if these beings were so involved in our past, what does that mean for the future? Could we interact with them again? What about other beings out there in the vastness of space?
Those are great questions, and they've fascinated people for a long time. Now, while the sources we're looking at don't give us concrete answers about what's happening on Venus now in a physical sense,
Right.
they do encourage us to think bigger,
Yeah.
to consider the interconnectedness of life throughout the cosmos.
It's like we've been given this peek into an incredible cosmic story, but some key chapters are still missing.
It can be frustrating.
It is, but also fascinating.
It's part of the beauty of esoteric knowledge. It makes us keep searching, keep delving deeper into the mysteries of existence.
And who knows?
And who knows, maybe someday we'll find those missing chapters.
Okay, before we go too far down that rabbit hole, let's take a step back and recap what we've covered so far about Venus and its role in human evolution.
Sounds good.
We started with this idea of spiritual hierarchies, right? Those different levels of beings that have influenced both Earth and humanity. And both Steiner and the Eastern traditions suggest that they played a significant role in shaping our world.
Right.
We then went into the fascinating story of Sanat Kumara, the hierarch of Venus. He came to Earth in a time of crisis, to keep that spark of spirituality alive. And we even saw how ancient myths, like the Hindu story of Shukra, hint at this special bond between Venus and humanity's spiritual journey.
Right. And it's not just ancient myths. We've got Blavatsky's secret doctrine, which suggests that these beings from Venus, they actually came down to Earth during the Lemurian period, influenced the development of early humans, and might have even shaped our physical bodies.
It's amazing, isn't it? When you put all those pieces together, you see this incredible convergence, this shared idea across different sources that Venus was far more than just a planet nearby. It was an active force in shaping who we are, both physically and spiritually.
It's a really powerful narrative that challenges us to rethink what we know about human origins and embrace a broader view of where we fit into the cosmos.
It's mind-blowing. So if these beings from Venus were so involved in our past, what does that say about future interactions with them or even with other beings from across the universe?
Yeah, it really does open up all sorts of possibilities, doesn't it? I mean, if beings from Venus could visit Earth in the past, who's to say they couldn't do it again or wouldn't? It certainly makes us think outside the box a little bit, that's for sure. Pushes us to think beyond the limits, of how we usually understand things, the cosmos, ourselves, all of it.
I have to admit, before we started this deep dive, I never really gave Venus much thought.
Really?
Yeah, it was just that bright, beautiful thing up in the sky. But now I'm seeing it totally differently. It's almost like Venus has been sending us secrets, whispering them across the ages, and we're just now starting to understand them.
And those secrets, well, they could be the key to understanding not just our past, but also our future. What if those influences from Venus are still at work, subtly shaping our evolution in ways we don't even realize?
It's a really interesting thought. Like, we've been given this amazing gift, this cosmic inheritance from Venus, and we're just starting to unwrap it.
Exactly. And as we do that, as we open ourselves up to the possibility of a more interconnected cosmos, well, we might find that our understanding of ourselves, our history, our place in the universe, it all changes.
This whole deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
I agree.
We've covered so much. Spiritual hierarchies, ancient myths, esoteric teachings, the origins of humanity. And throughout it all, Venus just keeps popping up, not as some passive planet, but as this active force that shaped who we are.
It's a powerful story, isn't it? Both humbling and awe-inspiring at the same time. Humbling because it reminds us that we're not the center of everything. They're forces, beings far beyond what we can grasp.
Right.
But it's also awe-inspiring because it suggests this incredible potential within us, this cosmic connection that links us to other worlds, other dimensions.
I think what really gets me is this idea that we're not alone. That we're part of this vast, interconnected web of life that spans the whole cosmos. And maybe, just maybe, those whispers from Venus will keep guiding us, as we journey on, keep discovering.
I have a feeling we've only just scratched the surface here. There's still so much more to explore, so much to learn. Who knows what amazing insights are waiting for us, As we delve deeper into the mysteries of Venus, of the cosmos.
Well, until our next deep dive, keep looking up, keep asking questions, and never stop exploring the infinite wonders of the universe.